You just had a great sales call. I mean, you're feeling really good. The buyer is nodding, and you can tell they're totally into it. And then suddenly they say the words that you just don't want to hear, which is, we're not ready to move forward yet. That's right. Those 7 words, they affect many a sales pro. And the problem is, oftentimes in those moments, we don't react the right way. And in this video, I want you to see exactly what's actually happening in that moment and what you can do to flip the script and really turn this doubt into an opportunity so that you have that confidence, so that you feel like you can resolve this every time, whether it's a sale or not, and that you're able to always know exactly where to go when you get hit with the, hey, we're not quite ready yet. Hey folks, my name is Marcus Sheridan. I'm a keynote speaker and author on sales and leadership communication. And I want to welcome you to the Confident Communicator. That's where we help leaders and sellers learn how to own the room. That's right. We want you to own that dang room and create breakthrough conversations every single time. All right, let's get into it right now. So before I show you the exact approach to the person that says, we're just not ready for this yet, let's reframe what's actually happening when you hear this. You see, when a buyer says we're not ready to move forward, they're almost never telling you the real issue. And there is something else going on here. I mean, you have to say there's a reason why they're not, quote, ready to move forward. And what they're usually saying, they're just not like verbalizing it, is we're not clear enough yet. Or maybe they're saying we're just not aligned internally. Or sometimes what's really going on is they're thinking we're afraid of making a mistake. That one's pretty common. Or you also have the classic, we just don't know how to tell you we're uncertain, or we don't know how to tell you / break your heart that we don't really like your solution, your product, your service, whatever that thing is. So the bottom line is this phrase is actually a mask, and it's your job. This is if you want the truth, to help them take the mask off. And you do this with curiosity, not with pressure. And that's going to be the big key here. Now, there's also some fundamental mistakes, and we see this all the time with our team at Question First Group when we're coaching organizations when someone says this. Mistake number 1, the salesperson ends up pushing too hard. In other words, they feel like the person says we're not ready, like, oh, I've got to re-pitch this, or I've got to over-explain, or I've got to send more documents. I mean, and I'm telling you, this is not what the buyer wants. They don't want to feel pushed here. They want to feel guided. Now, the other common mistake that we see, and you've probably experienced this yourself, is the salesperson just essentially retreats. They say, oh, not ready? Sure, I understand. Of course you're not ready. I'm going to check back next quarter or next time. So this is not a good place to be because you haven't done what you need to do yet. If you're going to become that confident communicator, you have to learn, all right, I don't need to push, but I also don't need to retreat. I need to guide. Guiding is what the greatest do. We call them pathfinders. Okay, so what is that pathfinder question that you need to ask in this moment? If someone says to you, we're not ready, the single most powerful question you can ask is, help me understand. When you say you're not ready yet, what specifically still feels unresolved or not clear enough to move forward today? Did you hear it? I'm going to say it again. Help me understand. When you say you're not ready yet, what specifically still feels unresolved or not clear enough to move forward today? Everybody got it? All right, this is a very, very important question. Now, let's break down why we say some of the things that we say. Number 1, when you start off with help me understand, that creates this sense of, it's not an attack. It creates that sense of safety. When you say, so what specifically, that creates a precision of answer. When you say feels unresolved or not clear enough, that is disarming. That removes blame and puts the focus on clarity. And when we say to move forward today, that's what's anchoring the context of this conversation. So this question shifts the conversation from an objection to what is essentially a diagnosis. And a diagnosis is where we're going to win the deal. Now, once you ask this, generally what you're going to see is buyers are going to fall into 4 different paths, and we're going to look at each one. So path 1, quite common, they just need more clarity. So they're going to say things like, hey, we're still evaluating, or we're just not sure yet. And so when someone says that, we're still evaluating, we're honestly, we're just not sure yet. Okay, that's totally fair. If we can get complete clarity around those specific pieces today, whatever those specific things are, would that give you what you need to move forward? So again, someone says, hey, we're still evaluating, or we're just not sure yet. And you say, what do you feel like you're still evaluating? What specifically are you not sure yet about? The person says, well, I'm just not yet sure about this. I'm not sure yet about this. Okay, so if we could help you have complete clarity on that specific thing, would that, therefore, help us to potentially move forward today? So now, person says, well, yeah, I mean, if I had complete clarity on that, then yeah, okay, I think we would potentially be ready to move forward today. All right, so that's your first path. Second path, and this is especially true with B2B sales or when there's multiple decision makers and there's just some type of misalignment, right? So if someone says, yeah, my partner, my spouse needs to see it, that's when you want to ask, okay, so who specifically needs to feel confident before we can move this forward? That's when they're going to say, well, my manager, my boss, or whoever that person is. And once they say that, then you want to follow up with another question. Again, this is what the great ones do. And what do they normally need to see or understand to feel confident and comfortable? And what do they normally need to see or understand to feel that confidence or that comfort? You notice how I might say it different ways, but it's just a relaxed response because we're trying to get to the heart of the matter. We're using questions to do it because, again, that's what pathfinders do. And that's always what our goal here is at Question First Group, is we want to create these pathfinders. And if you're a pathfinder, you clearly are going to be moving those people around you. Now, third path that you see that you could take here in terms of like what's an issue is the person, the decision maker here, has the fear of making a wrong call. So they might say something like, hey, we just want to be careful, or, we've made mistakes before. And in those moments, once again, you want them to clarify what they just said. And ultimately, we want to get to this point of saying, or finding out, so what specifically is the risk that you're most trying to avoid? Now, again, if they give a non-answer here, they walk around it. Don't let them walk around it. Make sure you lean in. Say, no. I mean, like, really, what is it? What is the risk you're most trying to avoid right now? Anything you tell me, I'm not going to judge you. I just want to get a clear sense for this. Now, once they say it, now you can start to overcome the concern. And the final path that is oftentimes you're going to see is they really are just a no, but they're too polite to say it. Now, if you started the conversation, that whole sales conversation, the relationship really, with what we call an honest agreement at the beginning, hopefully this isn't going to be the case, but there's going to be times when they're just not straight with you at the beginning. Instead of telling you that, they might say something like, well, I think we're probably just going to revisit this, in a few months, or maybe next year, maybe next quarter. We like you guys a lot, but we think we're going to table this for now. What you don't want to do, again, is you don't want to say, I totally understand. What we want to do is we want to say, again, with the right body, right language here, I totally understand. But before we close this loop, is there anything that would have to change for you, for your team, or for the company, for this to actually make sense and be a yes? Now, this is where, again, you might have some hesitation, but if they come out and say it, now we're going to see some magic. We're going to see some impact because, you might hear, yeah, well, truth be told, I just don't like X, Y, or Z. And that might be something that you can't overcome. And that's okay, by the way, if you truly can't overcome it. And that's when, you're able to say, it's okay that we're not a fit here, but at least we were able to talk about it. At least we got it out there. Okay. So you want a clean exit. You want everybody to feel good. And this also allows you to protect your pipeline and protect your energy, because we don't want a bunch of false hope. All right. Because that's the problem. Now, remember, though, none of this works. Like what I'm telling you right now, this doesn't actually work if your tone isn't right. And this is one of the biggest issues we see when we're coaching teams at Question First Group is you see folks that just don't understand when you're resolving a concern like this, you need to do it in a slow way. You can't do it fast. You really need to embrace the slow and steadiness of this. You've got to be calm and curious. You've got to let go of, I got to make a sale right now, and be more interested in, can we figure this out together? That's it. You really do have to become obsessed with that. Now, to do that, though, you've got to do those things, and you've also got to be direct in terms of the way you communicate. You've got to ask the specific questions that are necessary. And then, also when it's necessary, you got to learn to stop talking. Just such a big problem. It's amazing how often sales folks will watch themselves on recordings and say, oh my gosh, I just butted in, or I just kept going. It's like, no, you got to stop talking and allow silence to do the work. And this is a beautiful skill when you learn it. The ability just to roll it out there, that question, and allow the silence to do the work. Because that's when the buyer's going to open up and they don't feel that pressure, which is key here. All right. And so just a few more examples of this. Let's say it's an enterprise deal that you've got. Somebody says, we just don't feel like we're ready yet. You can say, so when you say you're not ready yet, what specifically still feels unresolved or not clear enough to move this forward? All right. So that's your enterprise solution. We talked about that. Let's say this is an SMB solution here. So you might say something like, so help me understand what part of this decision still feels cloudy or not fully aligned. What do you not feel right about? You got to say it in a very curious way, like a sincerely curious way, letting go of the sale. If it's just a one-to-one, which is a classic one-to-consumer, you might say, when you say you're not ready, what doesn't feel clear or comfortable yet? And notice too, when I'm asking these questions, I'm saying it slowly. You want to say it with a smile. You want to say it with the right confidence, with the right curiosity, all those things. I just can't stress them enough. And oftentimes we see folks with the words, but they just don't have the energy and the facial expressions and the hand expressions to match that. So bottom line is, when the buyer says they're not ready, it's not that they're resisting you. They just revealing something to you. And that something is, there's a doubt and you haven't overcome that doubt yet. It's not your job, though, in that moment to push. Your job is to discover, and that is going to happen as you ask the right questions and you seek that clarity, and that clarity creates confidence, and that confidence creates action. And of course, that's what confident communicators, or as we like to say, pathfinders, will always do. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you got any questions, make sure you leave it in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your experience. And let us know if you actually get to implement this, because when you implement this, it works. And it's pretty dang magical, my friends. And so until the next time, continue to do what it takes for you to own that room and become the best communicator you can be.